Welcome to the Stickers on the Mic podcast, brought to you by StickerGiant.com, where we talk with our customers about how they started their business, how they're marketing their brand, and how they're growing their company. Without further ado, it's time for the Stickers on the Mic podcast from Sticker Giant. Let's get on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stickers on the Mic. Andrew with you once again. Thank you for joining us. Today, I'm very excited to be dialing in Adrienne Ruth. Adrienne, thanks for taking some time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Adrienne, you are the creative person behind Murder on Ice Design Colorado, and you clearly are a big hockey fan, and that's kind of why we connected. Obviously, we're the champs right now, Stanley Cup champions here in Denver, and that's a bit of your more recent story. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about what made you want to start Murder on Ice Design, and then we can talk about the amazing sort of success you've had here recently with a few things in Denver and with the Avalanche.
Yeah, so I've always kind of been an artist throughout my life, just kind of doodling, taking art classes in high school and college, but never really as a career path. And then when COVID hit, I had an iPad. I wasn't really using it, so I decided to kind of challenge myself to get into more of like a digital design, start using the iPad a little bit more, and was doing some, player pieces because it was just kind of an easy thing. Like I missed hockey. It was a great way to kind of be like, okay, hockey's going to come back. Like I started doing some like player countdowns when they announced, the bubble hockey version of the playoffs. And so from there, it kind of just started with a lot of people really liking the pieces I was putting out there. And then I was really fortunate to be able to partner with another local Colorado shop, Avs Fam. And he was like, hey, like, can I get some of your designs up on my store? Like, I'll send you some of the stuff. I'll give you the profits. But I saw people really like them, and I wanted to kind of give you an avenue to get stuff into the hands of people. And then I think it was kind of about 6 months where he was finally like, okay, like, I love you dearly, but like you need to do this on your own, and kind of like gave me the foundation and then pushed me to kind of come up with my own thing. So I'm just a little bit over a year and a few more months into it. And it was just kind of a lot of fans on Twitter and Instagram really liking the stuff, really engaging with it and wanting me to make products that represented their fandom.
Right. And, that's where this sort of takes off, right? The Avs have a pretty magic season, and, they're on the doorstep a few years in a row, and then finally sealed the deal this year. And, an awesome meme came out of it, right? And this is like internet culture and, social media at its finest. Since you lived through this, like talk a little bit about the progression and how you really end up getting this big media splash with the Too Many Men design and how that came to be.
Yeah, I think, it started at the beginning of this season, kind of my foundation with the Kadri family and just kind of building a relationship. I was super excited when he got traded to the Avs. So it wasn't something where I was like jumping on it this year, but it it really became like with COVID, I think everything was kind of weird with like interactions with players and like even players' family, everyone trying to stay like extra safe. And then this year when stuff kind of loosened up, one of the first games of the season, his wife and daughter stood next to us for warmups. And like, that's how kind of the introduction started. And she was like, oh, you're like, I was like, yeah, I've like drawn some stuff of Naz, and I think I've like tagged you both in it before. And like the minute I said that, she was like, oh, like that's you. And so it kind of kicked off with like me getting to know his wife. And then, through the season with him having such a great year, the All-Star game, and like I did tons of content, tons of push to like get him there. And then like they did a few other things where they were just buying some stuff along the way. Like I helped do all the ornaments for their like Christmas tree auction. And so it kind of laid this like really great foundation where it felt like I was kind of like their in-house like artist. And so when everything happened with the overtime goal, I got a call from his wife like via Instagram where she was like, hey, like they're on the flight back and Naz wants to know if you can like do this. Like, can you draw it?
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, which I was like, what is want? Like,
what is happening right now? He's on the plane.
Yeah, like he's on the plane back, and they're heading home for Game 5, and this is what he wants. So I was able to bust it out pretty quick.
Was it just like fever? It must have been like a fever dream of just where you're like, I gotta, because sometimes deadlines create like this amazing impulse where like, and it's not always. I'm a procrastinator, sort of, just in like a typecast person, but like sometimes when you're on a deadline, you can really produce.
Yeah. And that was kind of like, her and I were going back and forth because I think he wanted the shirts for Game 5 with like the potential of winning the cup. And so in my mind, I'm like, is he going to be like wearing this shirt in the locker room, like at the after party? Like, I need to get this done.
Yeah.
So I pretty much busted it out that day. And then like his wife and I went back and forth of like where we could get it printed. We thought one of the other wives could like vinyl print it. But we were just like, I don't think it's going to work. So I did like tons of Googling to be like, okay, like I think I found a store in like Thornton that could print them like in 1 hour. So the day of Game 5, I was up in Thornton in the morning, like begging this girl. I was like, I need like 20 shirts. Like, can you do it? Like, I will bring you whatever you want. Like Starbucks, McDonald's, you say the word. And we were able to get him like that first edition that he wore printed. And then obviously like Game 5 didn't go the way we thought. And so it was kind of, for me, I was like, oh, did I like jinx it by getting this done too quickly?
Yeah. Hockey fans are so funny.
I felt like a lot of like, I was like, oh gosh, like, was this me?
Karma's tough.
But then it was kind of fun because like my mom and I went down to Tampa for Game 6.
Oh, wow.
And so like after we won, we got to celebrate. We got to hang out with the team a little bit. And so it was kind of funny because then, we get back to Denver. I'm like talking with like his wife, just like the two of us are just both like, oh, I'm so exhausted. And then we were like, oh, we have to do this parade now. And I was like, so we're like, are the shirts a go? And she was like, oh yeah, he like has been nonstop. Like, this is what he wants to wear. So it was really fun. Like, at the parade coming, like seeing the truck come around the corner and him in the shirt. And then just like the absolute kind of chaos that happened, once that went on social media of just like everyone wanting one and like, where did he get it? Where, like, who did this? So that was kind of fun as well. But yeah, I think it's just like a foundation of like, they've always supported my art. So they knew kind of who to come to for it as well, which was cool.
Oh, that's incredible, right? I mean, you cultivated that and it's that chance, like in real life is wild like that. So that's cool that you were able to build a real connection and then turn it around. I did want to sort of call out, I mean, this, you have a sticker of it too, of course, but this project actually has done a lot of good. So it's a t-shirt. It's a big win from Stanley, Stanley Cup win, et cetera. It's very exciting, right? But as of July, it says online, it was over $82,000 went to their foundation from this, which is pretty meaningful, right? So, not only is it a cool project, great story, probably life-changing for you, but it then, they're, talking about mental health and raising awareness to that. So that's pretty positive. And it looks like it's sold on a few different sites. So now you, all of a sudden you get the viral hit that like you can't ever plan for. You can't even dream of that. So you get this, you get local media coverage, of course, the various news outlets. Like you said, it went fast and furious, of course, after the parade, because people must know and they must have it, etc. So now you've had to scale really fast and it's only been about a month or so, give it a month and a half, 2 months or whatever. Now, how have you tried to adapt and grow with this and stay, sort of stay within the top of mind for people, but at the same time, it's not hockey season, right? So you know what I mean? Like, what's next in a way?
Yeah. So I was pretty lucky that like I didn't have to worry about the actual like t-shirt portion since I partnered with a company. So that like alleviated a big portion of kind of having
just inventory.
To, like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like the inventory portion, like having to deal with it. So it kind of gave me a little bit of freedom to kind of do what's next. And I think there was, for me, like a lot of burnout, like right after the end of the season of just like having done so much in a really like compact 2-month period with just all things hockey. And like, I hadn't really taken any time to like draw for a while. So it gave me a little bit of time to like take a break. And then I kind of dived like head first into like tons of Stanley Cup stuff. Cause I knew there was going to be the demand for it. And it was great to be able to like, draw. I think I drew like almost the whole team.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Like, it's like you got too many men, but then everyone, at least you see their number in jersey that like, that's their favorite player. And those are the kind of things you're like, I got to have 5 of these just so that like, cause I know I'll want them forever. Like,
and
it's
that
going on the
was
cooler.
like,
It's going on the
that
cooler.
was a great like thing to be able to produce. And I think it was kind of like, I actually took a little bit of like time to make sure I could get it all together right. Not trying to necessarily like jump immediately on things right away, because I wanted the quality to be good. And then from there, I've been just kind of like, right now it's been a lot of restocking. I cannot like keep up with demand, which is great. I'm really fortunate to have a following or people who really like my work. That, stuff sells out very quickly. So I can't, complain when I have to like constantly restock. But now I'm kind of looking at like other ways, just because of this increase of like other places I can dive into. I'm trying to actually like between my like real world job and like this actually charting out, different areas. Like I love Halloween. I always do Halloween designs. So, like this year I like actually sat down and was like, let's make a bigger Halloween collection than last year. And then like, I'm starting to dive into, some football.
There's the Russell Wilson sticker for Denver Broncos fans. You got to, hopefully has a good enough season that you'd want to have a sticker of it. So the jury's out. Right? But I was going to say, like, it looks like, you do Colorado is such an iconic brand and Colorado designers have to have like a Denver, Colorado, like aesthetic, at least part of it. But then you have your passions, like you said, in this case, it's hockey specifically, and you like Halloween and, when you have an Etsy store, I presume you can throw whatever products you want if you've designed it, which is kind of nice, right? So.
Yeah. And that was, part of like the name of my store too, was not to like tie myself to hockey, but it like still ties me to hockey because it's a pretty iconic, hockey quote of hockey being called murder on ice. But then on the flip side for me, I think it also kind of like leaned into like, nobody really knows what that is. Right. So I can kind of do tons of stuff. Like I'm not a purist hockey store.
Right.
And then, it also like a lot of the stuff with Naz, it kind of transcended just like Avalanche hockey and just kind of into the whole hockey community. So for me, that like gave me also an opportunity to sit down, and I'm kind of working on a series of like NHL stickers that aren't just players, like they're actually representing the city or major themes within like the culture of that team. So for example, like I did for the Sabres, I did like a really cool buffalo chicken wing design, and like actually research, like went in and researched like what is a hot sauce? Like what is the hot sauce in Buffalo? And like what is this iconic thing that when we all think of Buffalo Sabres, like you're going to think of Buffalo, you're going to think of Buffalo, chicken wings, and like trying to make those linkage of like doing these designs that kind of like I was saying is inspired by like the MLB City Connectors. It's like a different way of looking at hockey. So I think that's part of what this has given me is like a little bit more room to be creative and bust outside of an Avalanche bubble and like go into a full, hockey bubble and even sports bubble.
Yeah. No. It seems like a natural fit, and sounds like you know some good folks in that. So you get that going for it. So that's really cool. And like I said, it's been fun to track. Obviously, every Sticker Giant is a big hockey fan base actually at Sticker Giant. So we get to see so many different designs through different seasons, different years, especially when the team's doing really well. So it was fun to watch all the Avs designs come through this year. So thank you for sharing all that. And, it's pretty cool that you're, again, able to leverage that. So we're moving past hockey and you're, scaling up, what are some, especially you say you're juggling, a full-time job too, right? Like when you have time to think about what you're doing and where, you've been in this short amount of time, what are the kind of things, because there's a lot of people who are launching Etsy stores and trying to get their name out there. Now that you've had a little bit, and you said you even had a chance to breathe a little bit, has there any been reflection on like the things along the way that, that kind of core advice you'd pass on to another sort of budding entrepreneur of what you learned?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things I think I've like learned along the way is like make designs that you really love. I think oftentimes there's a thing within Etsy stores of, to be successful, I have to kind of stick within like the cliche and do what everyone else is doing. And I think for me, like, I think take risk where you can. Obviously, you don't want to take risk where you're like losing money and you're in a negative. But I think the key is like, if you really love the design, there's other people that are going to love it. I've made some designs where I print them and I'm just like, I'm not happy. Like, I'm just not thrilled that like I kind of did this generic thing and then it, sits in my store forever and it doesn't sell. And to me, that's kind of reflective. Whereas designs that I put kind of more of my heart into or I really like, I see those kind of go a lot quicker. And I think it's because other people have that same mentality of if I'm going to draw a player, if I'm going to make a design, like, is it something I want on my own water bottle or laptop or, computer, whatever it's going on? Is it something I want as well? And that really helps, I think, me also make the best design possible. So I feel like there's a lot of this push to like do what everyone else is doing, or, I see success because this person's doing this design. Like, find your own style, find what you love and like do that, because it's better than kind of, being generic amongst a big group of people on Etsy who are kind of doing the same thing.
Right. Oh yeah. And trends now too, especially like with TikTok and all that, like there's more of an incentive to like, if it's the copycat culture is a little more ingrained, especially on TikTok. Like it's designed for that. So like, it's hard to like break free of that. Cause if you're not doing the trending thing, you can't jump on it to do your own thing to create a trend. And so it's like this constant, at least from my observation. And I'm not super savvy specifically to that. But speaking to that's also cool to hear you say that and reflect on that. But, now that you do have to get some new products out and sort of advertise and promote, what kind of avenues are you trying to do and leverage as you grow the brand Murder on Ice and branch out into different NHL, especially because that could be obviously a very good area of growth, right? So what kind of promotional advertising platforms are you trying to?
So I rely heavily on my Twitter as like the foundation for a lot of my stuff, mostly because I do have a very like loyal following on there that, is pretty engaged with what I am up to, wanting
sports is
stuff.
Good for Twitter, like sports based, because it's happening.
Yeah.
It's like Twitter, if you're sports
it's
related,
live, it's I think that helps, like, especially because I've seen my own page like grow. So that's kind of my foundational thing. But I have kind of dived a little bit more into like TikTok and seeing, okay, like what, that whole concept of like what sounds are trending, what can I do with, stickers on there. And it's a really interesting thing to see like people who are like, I just found your store the other day and like didn't realize you had a TikTok. So I'm like sitting there going, how did you find it? Like,
you want to know. And so you can replicate that too.
And so that's kind of what's been interesting is like, I've seen some growth off of like just TikTok and just, putting up like videos with the stickers or showcasing with like trending sounds. And I'm trying to find a way like on TikTok to still remain like unique to myself. And I think it's interesting, like if I do pull up a sound that's like not trending and then like I see it does get a lot of hits, I'm like, okay, like obviously something's going right. What is it? And like playing with those analytics. And I think like everyone's on TikTok right now. So it's kind of like the place to be. So I'm working hard on that. And then, I just kind of still rely heavily like on the Avs fan base as a whole, just because I have a lot of people who know me now within that community. And so I can, share. And it always seems like, one Avs fan has a friend who's an Avs fan, but then that friend of a friend is also a, Kraken fan. And so like it spirals from there where it's like, okay, the friend of the friend is now an outside team. And then that person has a friend who's, this team. And I think when you start getting into like the hockey community and how people are just kind of with the way that players get traded, people start interacting with other fan bases because they're excited because, their favorite player is now on that team. So it starts creating a web that makes, for me, a really easy way to flow designs through, because then it's like, oh, like, hey, my friend, she has an Etsy store. Like, have you seen this design? And it's of your favorite player on this team. And so it really like naturally happens with the Avs fan base. And that's what I'm like really fortunate to have, is like a fan base that's pretty genuine in of itself and really like authentic and caring about kind of the fans that are in the fan base.
Nice. Yeah. That's nice to hear. I grew up in Chicago as a Blackhawks fan and skating with the Hawks as a kid. And it's a different kind of sport like that, I think, than, football and baseball and basketball. I don't know why. It just seems like the community side is very interesting. And it's cool to see you leverage the passion and for yourself, and what you're good at. And then sports fans just do love to celebrate and represent their team. So if you can keep that niche growing, that's kudos to you. So we're all rooting for you. So good luck with that, right? And thank you for your time today. And, again, sort of the takeaway too of doing something good too. Like, there's something there, and you can kind of continue to help other people too through your business, which I think is what a lot of businesses are trying to do and plan for. And that only makes you, more authentic. And so right on. Goodness gracious. Thank you for your time, everybody, especially those of you listening. Adrienne, we appreciate you. We say on the show, of course, every sticker has a story. This one is the Too Many Men sticker from the Avs Stanley Cup victory, and came from Adrienne Ruth of Murder on Ice Designs. And it's at Guffy Chan on Twitter, and also at Guffy Chan on Instagram and TikTok, right? So you can find Adrienne there. Adrienne, like I said, we're rooting for you. We watch for you. And everybody else there in podcast land, take care of yourselves. And thank you very much.
That wraps up this episode of Stickers on the Mic, brought to you by StickerGiant.com. You can download us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcatcher. Thanks again for listening to Stickers on the Mic. We'll see you next time.